Okay, greetings, brothers and sisters. I've had frustrating experiences with Amazon, with Verizon, and now with YouTube. Mind-boggling incompetence that is seems to be related to AI and the bots and their, whatever it is, their algorithms and things like this, and UPS as well. And so I'm going to tell you some of those stories. And things that are supposed to expedite your life, make your life move along faster, technology is taking longer, right? The one thing that you can say it does is it's faster, and it's not. And then all the other negative aspects of it. So I've been uploading these videos, especially on my Apocalypse Now channel, where it's taking um, days for them to check the video for copyright infringement. And I'll explain this process in a moment. But here's a Mike Tyson video. I uploaded this about 2 o'clock yesterday. Today is almost 9 o'clock on Saturday, April 20th. And so yesterday I uploaded this video, and this has happened to me now 4 or 5 times on both channels. This channel more than the other. But they're taking forever to copyright. Something that usually takes 10 minutes to comb through a video and see if there's any copyright material is now taking a day or more, which is a nightmare. I'm going to get into all the things that suck about YouTube in a moment. Okay, I got a bunch of other stuff to get to, but this is, to me, some of the most important issue here in terms of what I do and what you guys listen to or look for in terms of information. They have slowly squeezed and blocked and obstructed the flow of information, which I'll expand on. I got to get through this stuff with Amazon and Verizon, some of these other things, right? But the AI and all of these things, dehumanizing and disempowering human beings, which I see more and more. And they'll tell you these stories, right? And these all happened very recently. It's slowing things down, which is ridiculous. I'm wasting more time on technology. Like you have these high-tech TVs now with computers on them. And, I have to sign into you have to sign into these various accounts. Occasionally they sign you out. And there is, all this time that's wasted moving from one app to another, instead of having all your TV on one, like cable network or whatever, moving from one app to another. And then, there just seems to be a lot of wasted time, and they're taking information. And so they've just made it more complex. It's actually more cumbersome. It's not been simplified. It's not, they're always trying to say they're giving you faster internet. Like the difference between 5G and 4G is imperceivable for most of us. But the amount of time it takes to do everything now and to go around the warped algorithms and the machine learning and the agenda is quite cumbersome. And YouTube, which, is, and I'll show you an example of this in a bit after I get through the rest of this, has decided that, Google has decided that their search engines no longer are going to give you what you want. They're going to tell you what you want. They know what you want, but they're going to give you something else. I've talked about this, 4 or 5 years ago, and it just keeps on getting worse. That you're searching for something, but they say, no, you don't want this, you want this. Especially if you're a truther, if you're looking for alternative media, they're pushing forward these what they call authoritative news. They've said it, outright in various places, and this is their way of combating disinformation, and they're not giving you what you're looking for, and that's going to kill the internet. That's killed the internet because they have a stranglehold on information. For one, they have the number one search engine, and two, they have the number one video platform. And by doing that, they have obstructed the direction that humanity is choosing to go. And they're not going in, we don't want to go in the direction that they're all pushing us. We're going in the opposite direction towards critical thinking, towards no longer believing the official story, towards, all of this stuff, right? The spiritual movement and a sovereignty where we're no longer just being indoctrinated by some heavy-handed religious, social, psychological, historic, educational system run by the, intelligence community to push us all in a certain, into a certain mold. And so, like, there's where the internet's being destroyed. I'll get into the thing by Neil deGrasse Tyson, where he thought AI was going to destroy the internet because of deep fake, but it's just the opposite. I mean, not that deep fake is unconsequential. And so we had internet that was satellite internet. It's never been great, and upload speeds are the most important thing to me because these long videos, I have a 6-hour Journey series video, origin story video coming out. I'm redoing the original Journey series because of having to taken those down because of the heartfulness BS stuff that was going on. To those of you who watch the Journey series. And that takes me, sometimes 12 hours to upload. And so upload speeds are a real problem. And, I looked into Elon Musk's internet and that sucked. It just didn't work. It was really inconsistent and, whatever. And more satellites isn't going to make the world a better place. If you don't believe in satellites, you don't need to say anything. That's fine. We understand your point of view, but this, his internet works on satellites and not on cell towers, but whatever. Because I have cell tower internet now, and so I tried Verizon, and there were some issues with it. I first tried AT&T, and that didn't work. Tried Verizon, and it seemed to work great at the beginning, but now it just cuts off all the time. There's a break in service, and also the speeds are very inconsistent. And so I called Verizon, and they were going to send me a different box, like a different receiving box, a modem or whatever these things are, that receives the signal from the cell towers. And my family, was going on a trip, and my son was going to fly, and my wife and I were driving, which I don't want to get into specifics here, but he was going to be at the house to be able to hook up the internet so we'd have it when we got back, because the person was in a foreign country, and I didn't think she understood that I wanted to keep both services open for like a month to be able to make sure the transition worked. Because, well, the first box, they sent me a box, and I called this person up, and they checked the new modem, and it was one they discontinued and wasn't supposed to be out there at all because it was inferior. It was an older version. And so when I attached it, it worked worse than the original one. So I called them up like, WTF. So I was on the phone with them for like already hours. There's language issues and people not understanding things. And, it was complex. And I didn't ever have that with this local, I had a local internet that, our neighbor has a tower that goes to their tower, and they've let us run the cable off of it. And that worked great for, times, but wasn't very fast. And there's, like I said, issues with that. But, it was always breaking down, but they at least get out there and fix it. Like we would lose internet for a whole day sometimes, right? So there's all, and all of us in my family use the internet a lot, and my wife and I work on the internet, me more so, but, we need it. And so the woman said she was going to call me back. I was going to be on the road, and I was going to tell my son, pick up the package, and, to open the package and set up the modem, which he's, better at that stuff than me anyway. And she was going to talk to him. She never called. I was traveling, so I forgot about it. We got back home. The modem had never been set. And so then I talked to another person Well, and we were on for hours, like another hour and a half kind of thing. And the person said they were going to send the modem out and offered me the option to expedite it for a $15 charge and to get it here sooner. And I just thought it'd be better to do it sooner based on my schedule and to make sure I got the thing. But the account wasn't in my name; it had to go through my wife's whole thing, and so it ended up sending me a link that neither my wife and I could open, and it was a whole nightmare situation. So I called back to talk to somebody else, and they said the order didn't exist. So I spent an hour and a half with that guy, and then all this time trying to get the thing expedited. And this woman was, there for a long time at the company, and these were American people. And she said, some places weren't, you have poor service there. And I'm like, well, why didn't they tell me that before I even did it, right? Because this was inevitably going to happen. And, just a nightmare situation, right? I mean, there was going to be an issue where not the internet was, I'm going to have to go back to the old internet and switching back over. Just wasted all my time for something that technology is supposed to save you time, but it doesn't. And so she either hangs up or gets disconnected, and she doesn't call me back. So I call a third guy, and this guy I think is in India. I'm not sure. But I'm like, I don't want to talk. I want to talk to American because of the first people that I had that were out of country didn't really understand. Like there's, language issues, but there's also just understanding American concepts. So, there's different ways of being in different countries. I'm aware of that from my travels. And not only the language issue, but there's other issues. And he's like, no, I can help you or whatever. And he says he's going to order the tower. But the thing is that their service, they can only do so much because of, like, I talked about this with the Google ads, if you guys saw my videos with that, right? But I went to run ads on YouTube, and I called Google, talked to an advertiser there for Google ads, and they wanted me to run ads in search. And I said, no, I want to run ads on YouTube because I have a YouTube channel, and I want to run ads for specifically people who would come to my channel. And so they ran these ads, my ads, and they weren't being watched and they weren't connecting. And I looked at the channels. And so this woman was a nightmare, and she was from a foreign country. And like she told me, they didn't run the ad like I wanted it. What they did is they ran the ad in search engines on when somebody would search something on YouTube, it would show up as a video that was recommended. It was a 15-second video that I wanted to run in front of a video, like you get video ads in when you're watching YouTube videos, right? I wanted to run in front of truther video ads, right? And she just didn't do that and wasted my money and time. And then some other guy called back because I was pretty much like done with them, and he, was somebody who got it, like he was good. But I taped him saying to me, because what happened was, they had like I said to him, because my wife had this idea, and I said to him, is there any way I could give you YouTube channels that are like mine where you could run the ads? And he said, well, you can recommend channels so they understand where your channel fits. Because they had all these categories, and none of them were truther, none of them were God, none of them were spirituality, none of them were homesteading, none of them were anything to do with what we do here. Because they don't want those channels, and people, supposedly don't want to run ads on those channels. But I did, right? So the ads should have been cheaper because it's channels that are, not in high demand. And he said, well, you can do that. You can list all these channels. And so I searched for truther channels, and I'll show you this in a moment. I'll do the search again at the end of this voiceover. And, there was none that came up. And, like, I knew some of them. I don't watch truther stuff anymore because I do this as a job, right? Like, it's not entertainment. I don't watch other truthers because I want original thought. And, it just kind of annoys me because I have usually different opinions than the, majority of truthers, right? So I asked you guys about similar channels, and you guys listed about 48 of them, that were channels that you could run ads on. Like it was more channels, but I put in about 48 channels that you guys recommended, which was helpful. And then I said, I only want to run ads on these channels, not like channels like these. And so I talked to the guy about it, and I taped it, and I played it. I made a video somewhere, here about YouTube ads. And he said to me that he wasn't in control of that. Nobody was. They had to wait for machine learning to come around. So I couldn't choose the channel. So here I am as a customer saying, I want to run my ads on these channels. And these channels are channels that, aren't going to have a lot of ads running on them because they're truther channels. They're not in high demand. So it'd be cheaper to run the ads there, for one. And two, it'd be the audience that I want to run the ads to. That would be the biggest thing, the number two thing. The only reason to run ads is to people who would come to my channel, right? And the channels, they listed the channels they had run ads on. And the only one I knew of was this guy, Shane Dawson, who's a nightmare, is a woke, liberal, popular, one of these old, these cliquey YouTubers that were part of this YouTube crowd of channels. And he's a nightmare. He sells makeup, right? He's, got a husband who has a YouTube channel, like these things. And, his audience is not my audience. But he did do a series of videos about conspiracy theories. So he was the closest channel and the only one I recognized. They had Bollywood channels. And I'm like, these people aren't going to watch my videos, right? And so they didn't, they're putting these ads out to people who have no chance of understanding my content, right? And the, channels I'm picking as a customer, I have to go through this machine learning that's going to tell me, they're going to know better where my ads are going to do well. And of course it failed. And so, it was, the return on my investment was, I was paying more than $1 per subscriber. And, now the ads are so expensive because it's an election year. I'm not even, I gave up on it. And it's a complete failure. And the only reason I had to do it, I'm going to come back to this, is because YouTube isn't doing what they should do. And they're shadow banning. And it's not just truther channels. It's pretty much all YouTube is being hijacked by, the opposite of what it was intended. But I'm going to come back to that. So the point is, with Verizon, it's the same thing. That I'm talking to somebody and they're supposed to send me a tower, but then, they're not going to do it because they're machines. They can't make, humans can't make decisions and are constantly getting overruled by AI and their algorithms and their bots. So I'm talking to a human person who can't, solve the problem. And so this other guy says they're going to send me a tower. This is their top of the line modem. But this other woman had already just told me there isn't great service here. And I'm already kind of, I'm like, all right, I'll wait for the modem and I'll see how it goes. But I now have to switch back to my old internet and I have to figure out how to do that and all that stuff, right? This is costing time and money. And I decided to call Verizon again because I want to make sure the modem is actually coming, because I don't want to waste time waiting for something that some machine says no, some, software says, or AI bot says no. So then I talked to this guy, and this guy, like, I was kind of, agitated and, aggressive and just saying, look, and I've been on the phone for like 3 or 4 hours, just waiting and on hold and, them not figuring things out. And this guy's been there a long time, and he said, I'm going to level with you, like he's like a real person. And he says, well, the reason that they have to wait for the machine to analyze a specific area is because the cell towers that produce the internet have different ranges of signals, which is kind of disturbing in itself. And their modems that they have, the different modems, are there to get, as the kind of signal that you're more likely to get. And it's always changing at your location. And so there's a range of signals, and these modems, it's like, AM or FM kind of thing. They're going to pick up, the modems are going to pick up a certain, bandwidth of these things, right? Certain, specific type of, radio waves or whatever it is, signal waves, Wi-Fi stuff. So the AI bots are there to try to figure out the best signal that you're going to get. But of course, they get things wrong all the time. They make mistakes, and their analysis is not accurate, and that's why the humans are relying on them. And so, for me to get a modem, well, the other thing is this woman who said that I didn't have good internet said that all the places around me, there's only so many modems that they'll put out, and I don't know if it's just because of the amount of signal there's there. And she said your area doesn't have any room for another modem, so you can't get one. And I'm like, well, they should have told me that 6 hours ago. And then she put me on hold and hung up and didn't call back, right? And so I got multiple times that people had said that they were going to call back and didn't, which is another thing. So this guy says, look, you can get an extender for your house to boost the signal. And again, this is 5G, and, I turn it off, when I can, certainly at night, because I don't even want it in my house, right? And, extender just makes the signal stronger, which is what we need, but, it makes it more prevalent in the house, right? But he's going to send me an extender. He's going to send me a box to send back the old modem. I have another modem I have to send back, and I'm going to get a box in 2 weeks for that one, and not to confuse these two boxes, and, put the right modem in the right box. And he's sending me the new modem, and, of course, we need to test it for a few, days to see if it's better than the other one, right? But he's basically leveling me to me and saying that the internet signal is inconsistent, and that's not great in your area, which is, if I learned that in the first place, I wouldn't have even tried this, because I don't believe in magic. If there's a weak signal here, then it's always going to be a nightmare. And I ever had internet that was better, in terms of, the signal was at least consistent. And so, and not that consistent, right? So it's always, it just sucks, right? And I believe Wi-Fi and Wi-Fi and, all these electromagnetic poisoning, neurasthenia. I've talked about this so much. So I don't even believe in it being a positive. I believe in it being a negative, and don't really particularly want it, here in my life, but I need it to do my job, right? So it's this whole thing. It's like it's like I'm picking my poison, right? Like the level of poisons that's making it through the, and I'm trying to boost the level of poison to get a more consistent signal. So it's just, it's kind of counterintuitive. And so, a couple of days go by, the extender shows up, the box to put the old modem shows up, the new modem doesn't show up. Talk to another guy, I think this guy's Hispanic, probably from South America or something, and he can't find the modem. And it seems to be lost by UPS, that the shipment went out, the extender, the box, and the modem went out all in the same day, but the modem can't be tracked. He was supposed to send me the tracking number, but he never did. And so he said he'd call back on Monday to see if it got here. And so now the modem's been lost, and UPS has lost something else of mine, which I'll get into in a moment, that has to do with Amazon. But anyways, so they lost the modem. So, this is... And then I got a call back for the first time, and the guy said, yeah, this other guy... and they both were they had very high, sort of effeminate voices. But this second guy was the manager, to call back to see if the other guy had done a good job. And I'm like, well, it had nothing to do with him, that the modem is still, you guys don't know where it is. Like it's, UPS has it somewhere, and it may show up, it may not. And so this has to do with Amazon. Now, I'm not a good shopper. Like, I get stressed out, and I often make bad decisions because I get overwhelmed by shopping. I actually used to like to go to Goodwill, because there would just be something I would find, like to meet a specific need. But, most of the things in stores, in terms of clothes and other things, they have, limited items, and they're all trendy. They're based in what's trending. And oftentimes what's trending is not what I want. And so going to a store trying to find something that doesn't, they don't have it on the shelves, the exact thing that you want, or the clothing, or whatever it is. And so, I don't like to shop. So Amazon, I'm actually a pretty good shopper. I very seldom send something back. Whereas when I would buy at retail, I would often have to bring things back, because I just get, stressed out and overwhelmed, and I I make a decision of something and it's a wrong decision. But Amazon's been a godsend for me. And more often than not, I pick something, even without seeing it, that's exactly what I want and I can find it, whatever it is. But Amazon can be inconsistent and, they can not deliver on time or, there could be issues with it. But, I've accepted that. And, there's all the levels of evil that Amazon represents. But it was my wife's birthday was coming up. And I thought we would play pickleball. We were traveling. And where we were staying, there was a pickleball court. And so I ordered the pickleball and it was supposed to get there on her birthday. And she had a good birthday and we didn't have time to play anyway. It wasn't like some big deal, but it didn't get there on time. And so it was supposed to get there the next day and it didn't. And then they said it was going to get there after we're going to leave. So I call the person up. I get through to a person on Amazon and we have this lengthy conversation. And again, it's a foreign person and, really didn't understand the situation. I kept on repeating it over and over. My wife and I were actually driving, so she was like listening. And she was like shaking her head. And we were just like, my God, like she's just repeating the things over and over again and not understanding. But, we ended up getting cut off and then I talked to a third person and the same issues there. And I'm like, look, either it's going to get here on time or it's, I want to cancel it. And so she finally cancels the order because she says basically they've lost the package. And I'm like, well, fine, I can order it again next time we're in a position to play pickleball or whatever. My wife's fine with the thing, like she got other thing. It was just, but now it's just wasting my time and, and it's like something like that where it's for somebody's birthday. And, I ordered it way ahead of time, but it took forever. And, it arrived later than it should on her birthday. It should arrive before that. But I had a limited time to a limited window because we were traveling. So I had to get it right. We had to be, at the place to get it right. But anyways, so eventually I went through the lengthy process and there was this thing about gift cards and not and putting on gift cards. And she said, use the gift card. I said, no, I use a credit card, all this stuff. But then eventually she refunded me the money and, the order's canceled. And so, we were driving and we came back and I'm making a video and I get an email saying the package is going to arrive today. But the order's canceled. And, what I understood from the person that UPS misplaced the package, which has now happened twice. It's happened with the modem. And so I don't remember that ever happening before where UPS lost a package. I know the post office loses packages, occasionally. But UPS is usually pretty good because, that's all they do. But the UPS lost 2 packages within like a 2-week period of mine, right? And didn't know where they were. And the order's been canceled and they keep on sending me things like your order's delayed. I'm getting emails like 3-4 times a day from Amazon about this package that the order's been canceled. And they haven't done anything to, for the amount of time I wasted and, potentially, ruining my wife's birthday, these things. They haven't offered me anything like, which they should because, it's just smart. Like, we buy a lot of things on Amazon. And I actually wrote them a complaint about this, which I almost never do, explaining all this to them. And so, we're on our way home. And the next day I get a notification that the order arrived. And I'm like, Jesus, so now it's got to find its way back into the system. But I've already gotten the refund, so it doesn't matter. But I'm like, it's just, unbelievable suckiness, right? Like they lost the package and no one knew where it was. And, and they were saying, well, if you don't get the package by such and such a date, this has happened before with Amazon. If you don't get the package at such and such a date, then you can ask for a refund. And I'm like, so you don't know where the package is, right? Because it's either going to arrive or it's not, and you guys have no control or any of these things with it, right? And so these are my recent experiences in the last 3 weeks, and some of these things have gone on for 3 weeks now, or a month practically. And, it's much worse, right? Like, how is this better? How is technology making my life better? How is it, making it more efficient, right? It's not. Like, it's just constant, wasting of time, and then dealing with people who are completely denutted. They're limp-dicked because they can't do anything because the machines are making all the decisions, right? And so yesterday, I tried to place ads on Twitter, and it just wouldn't go through because Elon Musk, I thought maybe they're doing a better job over there, and I could get ads on an audience that would be helpful. I'm trying to do anything to keep the channel going, but I'm fighting a losing battle, and it just didn't work. The ads on Twitter didn't work, and the ads lost now. Like, they didn't, save it somewhere. They just said, oh, there's an error, but there was no error message of where the error was. I tried to do it a few times, and then it was, lost. And I'm like, all these companies, they've lost control of their technology, and everything's worse. It's degrading. It's falling apart. Everything's like not working. There's a breakdown in the system. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. I just searched this with my phone because they won't recommend these channels. There was a time when I used to watch Truther stuff, and that's all I got recommended. Years and years ago, they promoted these channels, and people wanted to watch them. Like, people, even if you were just searching a certain subject matter, you would get Truther channels, opinions about it. They weren't pushing mainstream. They weren't pushing CNN that nobody wanted to watch. CNN has its own platform. People coming to YouTube wanted alternative media and alternative opinions. They didn't want MSNBC or CNN. And, this whole thing came about authoritative voices. But now when you actually search for channels, right, they don't even recommend the channels you're searching for. Like, sometimes it's the fourth option, right? If you search Truther channels, Watch Mojo, that's not Truther. Brian Blaze, this dude. Channel Federator. Cartoon Conspiracy one on Channel Federator. Another one from this Brian Blaze, right? These things here. None of them. Vice. Another one from Brian Blaze. And then Pat McAfee. And like all these things, right? None of these things are Truther channels. I'm asking for Truther channels. There's not one Truther channel here. And they won't recommend them. And, even if you're watching those channels, they won't recommend. Even if you're subscribed to them, they won't recommend them. So then this one's Conspiracies. 10 Top, Watch Mojo, again. These are just mainstream media. More Pat McAfee. Like, why is he even there? Watch Mojo again. And so they don't have these camera conspiracies. Like, they just don't do it. They won't show you what you want, right? And this is the end of the internet. Like, this is, the internet not giving you what you're looking for, the search engines, and you having to work for it. And then these channels like mine and these other channels not being able to gain an audience, so people giving up and quitting because there's no longer, a way for them to be viable, is the conspiracy theory channels. Like, this is, again, nothing here. They love this guy, Brian Blaze, for somebody who looks really kind of douchey, and clearly not a truther. And so, most outrageous conspiracy theories about historical figures. I can't even put these terms in my title or they'll delay the video some way. Like, I can't put the word conspiracy in my videos. And so, the lizard people conspiracy, inside job, Netflix, right? Well, they're going to put Netflix on there, BBC, The Daily Show, right? And so, if you search any of these things, Pizzagate, well, this guy isn't, any of these things. CBS, The Daily Show, that guy's obnoxious, this guy, The Daily Show. These are people who are anti-conspiracy theorists, right? CNN, Today Show, The Hill, right? So if you're looking for actually what Pizzagate is, you're going to get the opposite of what you're looking for. The Trump rigged election. Again, I'm not saying I believe any of these things. Trump is a douche. But these are all mainstream media telling you that you're wrong, and you're not looking for that. I'm not looking for mainstream media. This is all stuff to do with them, right? Again, QAnon. like QAnon is bogus and it's, all these things. But if you're actually looking for QAnon, they're going to give you all these things telling you you're wrong, which you are. But it's not, again, it has nothing to do with what you're looking for. They're recommending the opposite of what you're looking for. They're telling you that you're looking for is, you know, you're wrong to look for that and you're stupid to think these things. And we're telling you what you should believe. And it's the opposite of what YouTube was supposed to be. We'll get in that in a moment here. See, this is about giving people what they want and trusting that people, which, of course, people suck, so I understand this, but people will, the market will correct itself, right? People are going in the wrong direction, and mainly because, personally, each person is responsible for that, but also our leadership and, our collective. It isn't just the so-called controllers, it's all of us. We're going in the wrong direction. We're going away from what's natural in human behavior. We're going away from God, the divinity within us. Religion's a big part of that. All these things that are supposed to be there to help people are actually hurting them. Technology is hurting people, making us less than. The internet is becoming a substitute for real life. Everything that's in there, the food processing system is supposed to feed people, but it's feeding people cancer, carcinogens, and heart disease and all these other ill health effects, right? Everything that's out there that's supposed to liberate people, all these liberal movements, feminism and things, is making it worse for people. It's bringing more bondage rather than freedoms. All these things that people are doing thinking that they're going to improve their lifestyle is actually hurting them on a soul level. And so I cover this quite extensively on this channel and other videos. But in terms of these terms, like Pizzagate is whatever it is. Like there's some truth in it. It got hijacked by dummies, and they went over the top with it. So I don't believe, that's not my thing. And QAnon is a disaster, completely bogus. It's a government-run psychological operation, and whatever else I searched there. Could be the RFK or JFK assassination, any of these things, right? But what people are looking for is what they're looking for. Like I might not agree with those people, and I certainly don't agree with mainstream people, but they know what you're looking for. They collect an exorbitant amount of data. They know the type of YouTube channels you're watching. They know the kind of person you are. They've identified you as a certain type of person. And their search engines have gotten better and better in terms of being able to give you what you want. But they're just saying to you, you don't know what you want. Like that's probably the most disturbing part about this. Or you don't know what's best for you. You know what you want, but you don't know what's best for you. What you're looking for isn't good for you. You shouldn't have it. And we're telling you what you should have. And that defeats the whole purpose of YouTube, certainly, because YouTube exists because people were tired of watching the same old crap on mainstream media. And so they wanted, individual people who could speak up and give a different take, a different opinion, who had freedom of expression, and they could find people like themselves. And it was just so vast in the different, type of genres and different type of content that was out there. And, now they're saying, no, you don't want these individual people. You want CNN that you left a long time ago, right? And you don't want that. They're not saying you want it. They say that's what's best for you. You don't know what's best for you. And these people who are the worst of the worst, who are running the system, in a demonic way, are telling us what is best for us, right? People that we don't have respect for or don't believe in, and that certainly are living worse lives than we're all living, right? And so that's what's happened here. These search engines are literally saying, treating you like you're a disobedient child, and that somehow, you can't do what's best for yourself, which of course there is a case for that because people suck, but not in this case. And so they're going to give you something, they're trying to bring back the indoctrination part that was being destroyed by social media's freedom of expression. And so this is the end of everything because, the First Amendment is freedom of speech. And censorship has reached a new high level because of what happened on the internet. And so things that used to be buried on the underground, the truth movement was, there for like radical, college and, conspiracy theorist type of radio stations or shortwave radio or pamphlets or things or, underground stuff. And it only reached a small percentage. These things have reached the majority of people, and they all have their opinion about it, and they all have their different way of approaching it. But now they're trying to reverse that and shut it all down. And, good luck with that, because no, we're not going back to CNN, right? And so when your search engines recommend things that you've already given up on, then you give up on the search engines, right? You move to a different search engine. We'll cover that later. I'm in the editing process. There's something that Elon Musk posted about Google, and we'll get into that. But, this is the end of it, right? This is where they've failed, its true purpose, which was freedom of expression and freedom of information sharing, and that's all been lost now. Okay, so I'm searching anti-vax here, and I'm offline because Verizon sucks. um, I mean, it's just everything I'm talking about. I have to wait to get back on the internet here. Making fun of dead anti-vaxxers is now mainstream. Vice. Yeah, what about all the dead people who took the boop? Debunking anti-vaxxers. Bill Burr on anti-vax conspiracy theories on Conan. The truth, Bill Burr sucks. Truth about anti-vaxxation of scientific look. The anti-vax movement is worse than you think. Jordan Kepler versus anti-vaxxers in SoCal. Most of this is from years ago. Why this former anti-vaxxer influencer is getting COVID vaccine 3 years ago. The political roots of anti-vax movement 2 years ago. 3 years ago. Look at all these other ones, right? 2 years ago. 6 years ago. 2 years ago. 9 years ago, right? They don't have anything recent because they know, they're like on the wrong side of history, right? But they're not recommending anything, and you can't even post it because of community guidelines. So this was my last video, which I want to show you this one ending part with Don Lemons and Neil deGrasse Tyson. I'm an expert, you guys. You guys, I'm an expert.
Information, you just put it a Google search or a...
People will recover in the
Look at how arrogant he is.
timeline of knowledge. They will recover the true value of an expert.
Really?
And there it is. The true value of an expert. So what he said was that AI, Neil deGrasse Tyson, is going to end the alternative media and media in general being shared on the internet because no one's going to believe anything anymore from alternative media because everything could be deep faked and AI generated, which is a ridiculous take on every level, which I explained in that video. But then he's like, well, what are they going to go to instead? And he said they'll go to books, which is stupid because we're talking about current events. And then he said what he really wants and what he really hopes is that people will, let him say it again here.
Knowledge. They will recover the true value of an expert.
Really?
Even Don Lemon doesn't buy that. The true value of an expert. Because all these pundits who have been exposed for their lies and been, debunked over and over again, and Neil deGrasse Tyson's at the top of the list, they want to be, there where they're the only ones with any knowledge, right? They're the knowers and the teachers, and you're just some doe-eyed, students and pupils and non-thinkers that are looking for them to tell you the answers, right? But people have moved past that. People no longer trust the mainstream. We know that, everybody to some extent, even sheeple, don't trust the mainstream media, don't trust all these things, right? I mean, the worst sheeple, sure. But the majority of people have moved on. And some of those people are using critical thinking skills. I mean, a lot of people who don't have the capacity to do that, I mean, they should at least try. You should try to think for yourself, like work at it. It's something that you can learn to do. But all that's passed us, passed them by, right? We've evolved past mainstream media and this, these news people who are, paid actors and shills who have a very limited grasp on reality, and they're spoon-fed by their handlers and their corporate overlords and their governmental overlords to tell them what the official story is people are, moved away from the official story and we're not coming back. And then they have their pundits and experts they bring in who are most often wrong. And even when they get it wrong, they don't apologize or take responsibility. They just shift their position, which is why they've been debunked by the internet, because, we now have video of them being wrong over and over again. And so, that's not going to get rid of his ridiculous take there that's self-grandizing isn't going to get rid of the internet. What's getting rid of the internet is they're trying to push something that people don't want. And, you have to work for and find the things that you do want. And the more obscure that we're made, they're just basically making it impossible for most of us to make a living. And they've replaced us with people like Joe Rogan and, these like kind of truther adjacent people, celebrities who are, come in with their own audience or whatever it is. But even then, they can't maintain anything that's realistic. And there's so much out there in terms of different, how many truther channels are there? You can't watch all of them, right? You don't have so much time. And so it's so saturated, and it's been so, so much disinformation has been put out there. And, it's just become an absolute mess. And that's what's going to wreck the internet, because, it's the inability to get the information, the inability to find the people and the information that's quality is getting harder and harder. You're not going to be able to find people worth listening to. So where it was once sort of vibrant and, dynamic, it's going to be dull and, monotonous, right? And, the sensationalistic stuff from the Cubies and the stuff that was, over the top and wasn't true, it's just all of it. And that's what's wrecked it, right? And there's not really much of a chance of recovery. I'm looking for a way to keep my channel going, and, I'm making less ad revenue, and this is a huge year. The best year I've had before was 2020 financially, because of the amount of ad, revenue, the ads, the political ads that were there, which are now running. And I'm not making enough money now. Like, I'm not generating enough money. My views are fine. I'm getting enough views, but I need to double my views, triple my views to make my channel financially viable. And there's no way to do that, right? Because there's just no way to get my stuff out there to new people. And you constantly have to bring in new people. And my channel was growing, like I was getting 100 new subscribers a day, back when I hit 200,000 subscribers. And now it's just pretty much stayed pat, where I've slowly lost subscribers, right? And so I was gaining, thousands of subscribers, even after they started to shadow ban channels like mine. But now there's no way to get the information to new people. I've tried ads, I've tried everything I could do, and it's not working, right? I'm going to, I've got a few more things I'm thinking about, but, it's YouTube, when they stop recommending your channel, and it's not just truthers, it's lots of different people are experiencing this. And also they delay your videos from getting up on the, being approved. They have this check system. This is why I started the video off with. What they do is they check the video for copyright infringement and for things that are advertiser unfriendly. And right now, it's in their best interest to pass that thing through as quickly as possible, because they have more ads, right? YouTube doesn't apply disciplinary actions during this year, like the year they're making a lot of money. This has happened over and over again. Like, you'll see during the big season, the Christmas season, they'll be less likely to they'll be looser about their community guidelines policies and all these other things, because they want as many videos as possible, because they have so many ads to run. And it's a time where, YouTube is making money and financially, in a better situation. And this year, particularly election years, are great, because they have all these billions of dollars of election ads and all the rest of it, right? So there's seasons and there's years, and this is a good year. And, it's not a good year because they're paying less money for the ads, which, there already wasn't that much money. And so now they're just crushing everybody who uses ad revenue, even in a good year. And, once this year is over, they'll apply these new, they'll have some other new community guidelines things, and they'll make it even tougher. And so, this is the pattern of behavior that we've seen them exhibit. But they have these systems that check to see if your videos are copyright infringement and if they're ad user, they're ad friendly. And the videos are now passing through easier for the ad friendly part because they want to run the videos. But somehow they've botched their algorithm for this copyright thing. And occasionally videos get hung up for like 24 hours, and it just shouldn't be that. It usually takes about 10 minutes. And so, it's just they've lost it. Like all these companies, UPS is losing packages, and Amazon. I mean, all these companies. You talk to a person, and the person is completely, limp-dicked and impotent, and they can't do anything because they have to rely on their AI generated whatever. The customer isn't always right anymore. It's whatever the AI, the machine learning and the algorithms tell you want. It's not what you say you want. It's what they say you want. They know better, and they suck at it. The AI actually makes more mistakes, and there's more errors now, more time-consuming crap than ever before. And so this is what brings down the civilization, when the things that are supposed to make your life easier make it harder, and things are confusing, and there's just no accountability. Like people do a better job. Like you're finding now that people do a better job than the AI. And when the AI can finally do a good job, well, then they'll just realize people suck and they'll just try to make us obsolete, which is what they're already doing. Anyways, let's get to the other stuff here. Okay, so just one more thing. I want to move on from this, but it's now almost 12 o'clock in the morning. I expected that this would pass through. So we're getting up on it's 22 hours with them running this check, right? It usually takes 10 minutes. It should take 10 minutes. It's a 30-minute video with very short clips, most of those from Instagram and Twitter. And so there's no copyrighted material here. And so why would it take this long? And it hurts everybody. It hurts YouTube. It means less revenue for them. I have a flow of videos. So I wanted to put this up yesterday here. And the video you're listening to right now will be done today. I was going to put that up on Pockets of the Future. This is the Pocket Laughs Now channel. And so if I make these videos both public on the same day, you don't have enough time. My audience doesn't have enough time to watch both videos, right? And now I've had a couple of days with no content. And so it's just a disaster for me, right? Like I have to, believe that these videos are going to be passed through. They're not really yellowing any of these videos because it's a good year. It's a good time of the, because it's a political year and there's so much ad revenue, like I said, they should pass this thing through or tell me it's got copyright so I can remove it, the copyright section, and put the rest of the video back up. But they're not doing that. They're just, I have no idea when this is going to, when you don't have any idea of when the video is going to be ready to be made public. And some of these things are timely. Sometimes I'm covering an issue that is news related, and 2 days from now, no one's going to care about it. And so it's just, this is an indication of like self-sabotage, right? This is YouTube sabotaging itself. We can refresh this here. But, it's still checking this thing. And, what if it's 2 days? Like, do I try to redo the video, figure out what's causing the problem? I tried to do that before. I've taken things out and it didn't change this at all. And so they've lost control of their, technology, their AI, their bots, and all the rest of it. Okay, so I'm editing. Yeah, again, today's Saturday, April 20th, and I put this video up Friday, April 19th at around 2 p.m. I don't know exactly when it was fully uploaded, but it's close to 24 hours. And they finally, you see it says, under restrictions there on the right, it says none. And so they finally went through this process. And if you understand the process, they have machines, they have software that can just comb through a video. And, the processing power is so much better than us watching the video, personally watching the video. And they can comb through it and see if there's anything that's copyrighted. It works fairly well. I have a copywriting tool where I can find anybody who's taken my videos and even partial videos or whole videos because the information's available. And so if things have a copyright on them, or they have an origin, a source origin, they know about it and they comb through it and see if there's any issues with that. And so, like I said, it usually takes about 10 minutes. But for something to take this long, and this has now happened to me like 4 times now, very recently. It's only happened recently. They've taken days, or at least, well over, 12 hours or 24 hours to go through something that usually takes them 10 minutes, right? And it's just happening now. And when they have AI technology, the technology is supposedly getting better, but it's taking longer to come up with the same. I knew there's no copyright issue with this video. It's done it 4 times, and each time it's come out and said, no, there's no copyright here. Well, then why did it take a day, right? I mean, it's just ridiculous, and it's just F's everything up. I don't think they're doing it intentionally to screw me and, other truthers over, or other other channels over. I think they're just lost control of their stuff, and it's self-sabotaging. But anyways, let's get into the other stuff here. So I wanted to lead with this. Man who set himself on fire outside a Trump trial dies. Injuries, police say. Look at that one. Man who set himself on fire, Trump trial reveals shocking motive. I don't know what the motive is, but whatever it is, it's, you don't set yourself on fire. I mean, protests don't work, and that's just one of the stupid ones, right? So the guy died here. Let's find out what his motive was. He had a political manifesto. And so whenever there's a manifesto, I believe it's a CIA shill, right? That this probably didn't happen. Manifestos are written by CIA people, not by, these alleged perpetrators of these things. Citing political motives in his manifesto. Now, I was wondering, he said, social media posts hint at conspiracy theories, but officials don't believe he targeted anyone specific. He had pamphlets. There's the guy there. He said, my name is Max Acellarillo. This guy. I am a investigative researcher who set himself on fire outside of Trump trial in Manhattan. This extreme act of protest is to draw attention to the urgent and important discovery. We are all victims of a totalitarian con, and our government, along with many allies, is about to hit us with a apocalyptic fascist coup. I hope you know how powerful you are. I wish you so powerful that the only thing that you can do is set yourself on fire to draw attention to your manifesto. I hope you know how powerful you are. I wish you a hell of a lot more than luck, he concluded in the lengthy manifesto. Protests don't work. And this happened in Vietnam when a Tibetan monk or a Buddhist monk set himself on fire to protest the Vietnam War. It doesn't work. It draws attention, yeah, but it doesn't change anything. I mean, and so, setting yourself on fire is like really stupid, no matter what the reason is, right? This guy is supposed to be a truther. I doubt that this is legitimate here. So I'm in the editing process, and I always laugh when they say the person wrote a manifesto, because manifestos are pre-internet, right? Because a manifesto is some person who's considered a fringe person, and I don't know if there's ever really been a real manifestos. Well, let's just say this first. The CIA comes out, or these intelligence community people come out with a package. If they run a false flag or a psychological operation, or something happens organically, they create a disinformation package which is going to go out to all the mainstream media. They did this in the RFK movie, where there was people getting information about RFK's assassination and the guy who did it before the thing actually happened, because they put out these information packets, and the guy describes the process in that movie by whoever his name is, Oliver Stone. This is kind of well known in the truth community, and one of their things that they always say is that these people will put out a manifesto. These crazy, deranged, lonely, sociopathic people put out manifestos, right? It's how you know someone's a crazy, deranged conspiracy theorist, and it's oftentimes people who have committed some violent crime or whatever. They do this quite often in these packages they put out. And so whenever I hear a manifesto, because a manifesto was for a time when there wasn't the internet, because now you can be heard on the internet, right? Like there is no vehicle for your message to get out there. So people would do something drastic, and then they put out a manifesto so people would read their point of view. And that may or may not actually happen. I don't know if, how many people are capable of writing such things, but they always call it a rambling, deranged manifesto. And nobody's going to read it, like, the newspapers will. But, they've already demonized you and put you in a category. And so only people like you or people who believe what you believe are going to read it. It's stupid. And now you have the internet where you have a voice, and you don't have to do something drastic to put your opinion out there. And whether they're shadow banning you or not, you could still find other people who are like-minded. That's one of the advantages of the internet. So manifestos are a thing of the past. And so this guy who allegedly did this, it looks like it's fake as F. And of course he's a crazy conspiracy theorist because they want to demonize conspiracy theorists. But, whatever he's writing is stuff we've all heard. The stuff that I've read here, there's no new information there, right? And even if everybody read it and believed it, we can't do anything to change it because you can't fix the system. I mean, anybody with half a brain would know that anyway. And so, it's just a bogus thing, right? Like it's just, it's some fake thing. Like it's just like you just make something up, right? I mean, I don't know if you have video of the guy burning, so who knows what that's all about. But it could be a crazy person that they just, gave him the script. I mean, whatever it might be. Because manifestos are like stupid when you have the internet. Like you understand this. When they didn't have the internet, no one could hear how brilliant you were. So you had to do something in the mainstream. No mainstream book company or magazine or newspaper was going to cover what you had to say. And so you felt desperate, and you might do something desperate and write a manifesto. And that would be the only reasonable explanation for why they existed in the first place. But now the internet's there, and you don't have to even leave your home. You don't have to do anything to, drive traffic because, you're going to find your market out there, right? There's going to be people that are going to believe in your stuff, and, you're going to find other people in forums where you can place your information, even if it's not mainstream stuff like YouTube or, some of these other, Twitter and Facebook. You'll find some, 4chan-like thing out there, and you can, whatever it is, Reddit, whatever you, go to, and you post your stuff there. I mean, Reddit's not a good example, but whatever. And so, like, manifestos are always a joke. So one of my viewers sent me this. Kennedy family endorses Biden, rejects RFK Jr.'s run. Kerry Kennedy, sister of Robert Kennedy Jr. So this is his sister, RFK Jr. And listen to her voice.
That's right. The Kennedy family endorses Joe Biden for president.
There's something wrong with their voice. Ted Kennedy had the same thing. I don't know what happens to their voices. RFK Jr. said that he had some kind of, I forget what the condition is, but, he said he had a very powerful voice before, but it's just they have really bad voices, right? I mean, just ridiculous. Like there's something wrong with them biologically, genetically. Look at this weird Kennedy. They're just like Fire Marshal Schill up there. Look at these weird MNFers. These are all Kennedys. Something wrong with that genetic line.
When Daddy announced his bid for the presidency in 1968, he talked about the perilous course our country would take under the wrong leadership. And he said, I feel obliged to do all that I can. I cannot stand aside. We are here.
Look at this MNFer back here. This face, like this is a genetic problem here.
Because we feel obliged to do all that.
Like is this a family of cousin effers, right? Are these all are these all cousin marriers and sister marriers? I mean, is this?
We can. We cannot stand aside. In this election, no American can stand aside. We must vote.
Woo, vote, woo, vote, woo, we must vote. We must vote for president.
In
Look
2024,
at this dude.
there are only
this
two
dude.
candidates with any chance.
Look at this MNFer right here. Look at this. Like this is his relaxed face. What happens when he's stressed out?
Of winning the presidency.
I want to hear from this
We
dude.
know them well. 4 years ago, our country was crippled by COVID. chaos, and the effects of unprincipled leadership. 4 years later, thanks to Joe Biden,
Who's this dude? What is wrong with the Kennedys, man?
we are enjoying an unprecedented economic expansion with more people working than at any time in our history. Over 15 million new jobs have been created, almost 800,000.
Wow, like it's hard to listen to. Does that guy talk at all? It's just her, and then Biden. We'll get to Biden here in a moment. See if she talks about her brother.
He rebuilt the refugee program that was decimated by his
Okay, there's nothing there.
couldn't make our own health care decisions. President Biden is fighting to get
Okay, nothing there.
on day one, even saying
It says here, Kennedy family endorses Biden, rejects RFK Jr.'s run. This is for Kennedys, and who cares? Look at these guys. You want this guy on your team, right? You want that dude? You're picking those two people?
and Medicare, ripping away health care and earned benefits for millions of Americans.
So she
For
doesn't.
Joe
She doesn't slam her brother, just not endorsing him.
Biden is a vote for our democracy and our decency.
Kaboom! You just guys know how to spin a tail.
And please welcome President Joe Biden.
Woo! Pat him on the back. Look at these, man. And this guy, this corpse you're endorsing over your brother. This walking frickin' weekend at Bernie's dude. You know, let's talk about your uncle who was eaten by cannibals. The Kennedys know about that. Woo! She did it. Woo!
Please have a seat, if you have one.
This guy. They're making it like she rocked it.
Mom and Dad, I hope you were listening.
She's shaking too. She's got some kind of nervous
What an
disorder.
incredible honor.
Look.
What an incredible honor. I don't want to become emotional, but what an incredible honor
You just could become emotional.
to have the support of the Kennedy family.
Look at this dude here.
John White Jr., thanks for those kind words and for carrying on your family's civil rights legacy. And so is your son, Kalen.
Kalen, who's Kalen? Kalen, your son, Kalen is out. Is he here somewhere? Where is he?
Who's doing a hell of a job on our campaign.
Woo! Woo, Kalen!
He's helping us win Pennsylvania.
Woo!
Jerry, that was the most meaningful introduction I've ever gotten in my life, other than when my sister introduced me.
Look at him. Look at him. Look at this crazy. Look at her crazy eyes.
There
For your friendship.
to President Joe Biden, thanking the Kennedy
Incredible
family
honor.
CNN's cutting him off.
for their endorsement. And Boris, what is important to note in this moment is often in politics, in elections, endorsements are fine, but they don't really do much. Yeah. But in this case, because of the broader picture, which is the fact that Robert F. Kennedy
Oh my God! Look at these CNN. Just unbelievably suck. Like how embarrassing. Like humanity's just embarrassing itself over and over again. We should send not each other, but rather to the stars. We should send rockets not at each other, but rather to the stars, Elon Musk. Yeah, it's not like it's okay to send them at the stars. You know, putting all this crap up in the sky. I got a number of people saying that satellites don't exist, and I'm like, oh, Jesus. There's still flat earthers coming to my channel. But anyways, you know, I've gone through the electromagnetic pollution, all these things. But yeah, rockets shouldn't exist. Like there's no purpose to them. I mean, we really can't travel anywhere meaningful in space. And we shouldn't because like we're already wrecking this place, right? It's not time to expand and wreck other places, but whatever. That's Elon. And then this, it's a real problem. If you have to do a Google search, use before 2023 at the beginning of your search string, you get a completely different and a much more usable set of results. The web has died. You know, so this goes with what I've been experiencing. So let's try that here. Okay, so I searched Palestine, Israel, and Iran. This is what I've gotten here. And now I have it before 2023 with, is that a colon and then, all in quotes. And see if there's any difference. Well, there is. This thing came up with Reddit. So quite substantial difference here, right? This is what they gave me without that. And this is what they gave me with it. Completely different results. And still, 2023 isn't when they started to push authoritarian news. And let's try something else here. So now I'm just searching truthers. Here's the dictionary definition, Wikipedia, these things, MSNBC, all mainstream stuff. Let's try a truther before 2023. It's still not, there's some stuff on Reddit here, which might be, whatever it is. They got New York Post. They have, some different results. It's still not truthers. We're not getting truther results, but significantly different results. And I guess that gets rid of the AI stuff. So that's a positive. It's still not back to what it was and what it used to be. But it's something, right? So this is a movie from M. Night Shyamalan called The Trap.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together.
I might have to edit this out. And I might have to edit the majority of the thing out because you never know. Like, only dopes copyright trailers. It's because the more people see the trailer, the better. Even if I mock it or make fun of it, some of you guys will want to see this movie, right? But here's the devil here.
Put your hand.
So it opens up with the devil. So, if it looks a little choppy, I might have to edit out a big chunk of this and just get to the end, or the meaningful parts here.
Hands together for Lady Raven.
Hurry, come on. Wait.
Lady Raven, let's look at what the thing is. So this stuff, right, the two towers of the Boaz and Joachim for the Freemasons, they got this stuff going on here.
Hurry, come on.
Wait. I gotta tie my shoe.
No dad jokes. This is
Okay, so let's move it forward. So he's got to use the restroom.
Hey, I gotta go to the bathroom.
They're bathed in red, right, which is significant for so many reasons. I've talked about this in the past.
I'm good, Dad.
Red means, ritualistic behaviors and all these things, sacrifice, all kinds of, obviously associated with the devil and, all these other things. They often bathe the audience in red light at concerts. So he goes to the other part of the stadium. And then he starts to see, as he's walking out here, there's a cop there. Lady Raven, Okay, so these morons did copyright me, so I'm just going to trash the trailer. It's better if I can make fun of it when I show you the pieces. But, they just suck. It's just stupid. But this guy comes in and he asks this guy why this guy's selling merch and stuff. And he asks him what's going on, and the guy somehow he knows. He said it's supposed to be a secret. Don't rat me out. But why would they tell this guy what's going on? Because he's saying that the police are surrounding the building. It's basically some kind of martial law blocking all the exits because there's a guy there called the Butcher. And the Butcher, who turns out to be this guy, the guy with his daughter, hacks people up, and he goes in the bathroom and he's got a little, thing on his phone to see his cameras, and he's got some guy locked up in his basement. But if they know the guy's going to be at the concert, then they might as well just show up at his house, right? Like, how are they going to identify him out of all those people? It's the stupidest premise. M. Night Shyamalan, his movies just get stupider and worse. And so the premise is that the only opportunity to catch this Butcher is to try to get him as he leaves this concert of 40,000 people with all these young people and guns, and it's just stupid. And so there's some scenes with his daughter and these things, but spoiler alert, he's the Butcher, and they suck for copywriting me and these things, because it's just promoting their crappy movie that nobody should see anyway. And the movie's called Trap, and he's caught in a trap, and he is the villain. he's a dad, and he's being like a normal dad with his daughter, but he's also a guy who hacks people up for pleasure, and he's the protagonist. And so inevitably, the people watching the movie are going to root for him to somehow get out of the trap. I mean, I'm not sure how they frame the narrative, but that's how it always works, right? You start identifying with the guy who's, the protagonist of the movie, and the protagonist here is some sort of serial killer. All right, so that was a lot. So, I'll put this video up on Sunday because I just uploaded the other one. I just made the other one public. Now I have a day where I'll have videos be a day ahead. I had that before, and then if it takes a long time for them to go through the copyright thing, I'll still be able to put it up on time. I mean, it's better in some. I just freaking, so many things I've had to do to adapt to YouTube just, destroying itself, right? And, all of it. Like we're all experiencing this, but as a YouTube person here, it's a nightmare. And, just to eke out a living, it's getting harder and harder, and just, whatever. And, and this is just the way it's going to go. Like, it's not going to get better. And so, cheerio. Only spirituality will save this world. It's Baramano. Definitely important for the apocalypse and the ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.